If you're dreaming about your first cruise, you're in for an adventure. But hold up, there's some homework to do before you book. So today I'm going to share 8 must-do steps to make sure your first cruise is smooth sailing. So these tips are based on my own experiences and years of cruising know-how. So grab a notebook and let's dive in. Ahoy travelers, it's Amy here to help you make your travel experience a success. Let's not waste time and jump right into these. Number 1, choosing the right cruise line for you. Now, picking the right cruise line is like choosing the perfect vacation vibe. It's going to have to fit you. Are you sailing solo, looking for a lively social scene like on Norwegian or Royal Caribbean? Are you bringing young kids and need some family-friendly fun? Lines like Carnival or Disney have you covered with epic kids clubs and activities. Or maybe you're cruising on a budget and you want value without sacrificing experience. Check out MSC or Carnival for some wallet-friendly options. Each line has its own personality, and even ships within the same line can feel totally different and offer different amenities and vibes. For example, Royal Caribbean's mega ships, like their new Icon class, are floating cities with water parks, aqua shows, and even ice skating rinks, while their smaller ships have this more relaxed atmosphere and a lot less crowded. Do your research, check out ship reviews, onboard amenities, and what's included to match your style. Trust me, getting this right sets the tone for your whole trip. I often say there is a cruise line and ship for everybody. Number 2, pick the perfect itinerary. Cruises can take you almost anywhere there's water. So from the turquoise Caribbean to the stunning Mediterranean. Choosing your itinerary is a big deal. If you're in the US, most first-time cruisers will start with a Caribbean or Bahamas cruise. Think warm beaches and vibrant ports like Nassau or Cozumel. In Europe, a Mediterranean itinerary hitting Italy, Greece, or Spain is a classic. But it's more than just deciding where to cruise to. You have to decide how long you want to sail. I recommend a 5 to 7 day cruise for your first go. Shorter 3 or 4 day trips like some Bahamas routes can feel like party cruises. They're fun, but they're not the full cruise experience, and you can't really base your opinion of cruising off of those. Longer cruises give you time to settle in, enjoy sea days, and really soak up the ship's vibe. Check the ports and how long you'll spend at each. Some stops are just a few hours, others are a full day. Pick an itinerary that excites you and fits your schedule. Number 3, nail down the right cabin. Choosing your cabin is a game changer, and there's more to it than you might think. First, decide on the cabin type. Want to save some cash? An interior cabin is budget friendly, but it has no windows. However, they make for a great night's sleep. If you love waking up to ocean views, splurge on that balcony. You might find it worth it for that morning coffee with a view. Or go big with a suite for extra space and perks. We are looking forward to some extra perks with the concierge cabin that we booked on an upcoming celebrity silhouette cruise. I can't wait. Location is huge too. Pro tip, book a cabin surrounded by other cabins on all sides to avoid noise from public areas. Steer clear of spots under the gym or above a late night club. Nobody wants to hear dumbbells dropping at 6 a.m. or bass thumping at midnight. Trust me, we accidentally booked underneath the gym one time when we booked a spa cabin on a Carnival cruise. It was not a great way to wake up every morning. Worried about seasickness? Pick a midship cabin on a lower deck for the least motion. Check deck plans online to scope out the perfect spot. Also, you're going to want to avoid any large open areas that aren't labeled. Those are usually crew areas and can also be noisy at times depending on what it is. And since you don't know what it is, I always recommend stay away. Go back to that. Book a cabin that's surrounded on all sides by other cabins. Number 4, get smart about your dining options. Dining on a cruise is a highlight. Some people cruise to eat, I swear. But you need to know your options before you book, as you're going to need to choose your preference for the main dining room when you book. Most ships offer early, late, or anytime dining in that MDR. Early seating is usually around 5:30 or 6 p.m. This is great if you like to go to bed early, or maybe you want to get it done before the shows start in the evening. Late seating is around 8 or 8:30 p.m. and this works for night owls or those that like to linger over cocktails. These are both set schedules and are great for people who want to eat at the same time every night and sit at the same table. Anytime dining gives you the flexibility to show up when you want, but you might wait for a table during peak hours. Check what's available for breakfast and lunch too. Some ships open the main dining room while others lean on that buffet. Speaking of buffets, find out their hours. They're usually open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but usually will close between meals at some point in time. Also, look into specialty restaurants. Those steakhouses or sushi spots cost extra, but can elevate your trip if you're willing to spend the money. If you're going to be booking specialty dining, you're going to want to plan ahead and book it as soon as you can. Number 5, budget for hidden costs. Unfortunately, your cruise fare isn't going to be the full cost of your vacation. The average cruiser spends almost as much on extras as they do on the ticket itself. Gratuities, they're often $15 to $20 per person per day automatically added to your bill. Drink packages can run $50 to $100 a day depending on the type of drink package and the cruise line. Some lines are now charging even more than $100 a day at this point. Specialty dining like that fancy Italian restaurant might cost $30 to $50 per person, and there are some that cost double that. Shore excursions, a snorkeling trip, or city tour can easily cost $100 or more. Don't forget your souvenirs, Wi-Fi, or onboard activities like spa treatments. Check what's included in your fare. Some lines like Virgin Voyages bundle more than others, while lines like Celebrity and Princess offer all-inclusive bundles that can save you money if you want to upgrade your cruise experience. Set a budget, decide what's worth splurging on, like a must-do excursion or that drink package. We usually splurge on the drink package and would stay in the interior room instead of booking that balcony. On our celebrity cruise that's coming up, though, in 2027, we have not yet purchased a drink package. If one goes on a deep discount, then we'll look into it. However, for right now, we bumped up our cabin choice instead, and we're just going to get a few cocktails a night and just pay for them as we go. Number 6, time your booking right. Timing is everything when booking a cruise. Now, my go-to is book as soon as the itinerary drops. This means sometimes 2 years out. Early bookings will get you the best cabins, like that perfect midship balcony that you want, and may even come with perks like onboard credit. I also always set price alerts on sites like Cruise Watch to catch any price drops. Some lines will hook you up with credits or better cabins if the price dips later on. Last-minute deals within a few months of sailing can save you serious cash, but you're rolling the dice on cabin choice and itinerary. They're great for flexible cruisers who don't care about specific ships or port. So maybe if you're a retiree that's cruised a lot already. However, if there is a certain itinerary or ship you want, you're going to want to book early. Keep in mind that cruise lines offer sales year-round, and there's very little difference from one sail to another. I find that the best cruise line sales are ones that offer those extras like spa treatments and drink packages at a discount. Just don't wait too long. Popular sailings, especially holidays, do sell out fast. Number 7, sort out your travel documents. Let's talk paperwork. I know it's not that much fun, but this one's very important, so you do not want to skip this one. For U.S. citizens on closed-loop cruises, now those are starting and ending at the same U.S. port, like a Caribbean trip from Miami, you can use a birth certificate and ID, but I strongly recommend a passport. Why? It's safer if you miss the ship in a foreign port and need to fly home unexpectedly. You don't want to have to pay for an emergency passport just to get yourself back home. Passports last 10 years. I like to think of it as, yes, it may cost $160. I don't know exactly what they cost now, but they've been around $160 for a passport. Split that over the 10 years that they work, that's only $16 a year. Now that is a bargain. Another great thing about having a passport over that birth certificate is border agents process passports faster. Make sure your passport is valid for at least 6 months past your return date. So some countries will not let you in unless there's at least 6 months left on your passport. I think that's in case something happens and you get stuck in their country. If you're cruising internationally, like to Europe or Asia, check visa requirements for every port that you're going to be at. For example, some Mediterranean stops might need a Schengen visa. Get those documents ready early to avoid stress. Now, we are going to have to purchase one of the new ETIAS before our British Isles cruise. This is something that wasn't required in 2024 when we flew into Germany for our Norway cruise, but will be when we go to our British Isles cruise next year. Number 8, don't skip the travel insurance. Listen up. If you can't afford travel insurance, you can't afford to cruise. Seriously, this is non-negotiable. Travel insurance protects you from the unexpected. Think trip cancellations, medical emergencies, or even lost luggage. Imagine getting sick the day before your cruise and losing thousands on a non-refundable fare, or needing a doctor in a foreign port. Cruise ship medical centers aren't cheap either, and local hospitals might not take your regular insurance. I've heard stories of cruisers stuck with $10,000 in medical bills after a fall on shore, or even worse, tens of thousands of dollars owed for a medical flight back to the US. Insurance also covers travel delays, like if a flight cancellation makes you miss the ship departure. Policies start as low as $50 to $100 for a week-long trip per person, so shop around for one that fits your needs. Peace of mind is worth every penny that it costs. You're going to want to also make sure that you're getting a cruise travel insurance, not just regular travel insurance. That's important. It's really easy. If you just Google cruise travel insurance, you're going to have multiple options pop up. Well, there you have it. 8 must-do steps to make your first cruise a total win. From picking the perfect line to protecting yourself with insurance. These tips will set you up for an unforgettable adventure. Plus, it's a lot less stress when you finally get on board. Have you booked your first cruise yet? Or are you still dreaming? Drop a comment below with your plans or any questions. I love to hear from you. Well, are you ready for more information on cruising? Why not stick around and check out this video and then come back for more information designed to help you have an amazing cruise. Have a blessed week, everyone.